All right, welcome back, everybody. Earlier we got the pleasure of talking to Cal Stark, and we've been talking a lot of Tennessee baseball. We're going to talk about college baseball as a whole, getting into regionals, but we got to recap the SEC tournament, the ACC tournament, and we have the privilege tonight of having somebody who is boots on the ground at both. So with that being said, Ellie, how are you doing tonight?
Doing great. I'm excited to be on here and yeah, it was a lot of baseball these past few weekends, but it's been great. I have had a chance to be at the SEC tournament, watching a little bit, but I was in Hoover for the first day for a minute to do some production work for the Players Lounge with our baseball guys at Tennessee. And so we had a live show that happened. It was with Blake Burke and KT, SEMO, Kirby. If you weren't on it, you definitely missed out on a good time. It was probably one of the funniest things that I had to sit in a room and act like I was not there. And it was really hard not to just burst out laughing. I had to step away a few times. But yeah, I was fortunate enough to be there for the first half of Hoover. And then I ended up having to go to the ACC tournament. And so grateful I got to go and be a part of that with the Cape Cod League and, doing a little bit of preview work on some of the guys that we have coming in this summer potentially. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I'll say this, a lot of people, nothing compares to the SEC tournament, they say, right? And I see the scores, I see the footage you have, I see what's going on there, and it's like, I mean, you can make a case that they were equally as good as each other. And, one of the things that I'll say, I haven't been there and that you got to be there, like that backdrop is killer there.
Oh
Like,
my gosh. Yeah. No, it was, I mean, that stadium alone, both, I thought Hoover was pretty cool, seeing all the teams in the outfield. I thought that was a pretty nice setup. And, you got the moon at those night games. And I was like, okay, you can't beat this. So beautiful. And then I go to the ACC tournament and I've got downtown Charlotte as my backdrop. And I'm like, wow, Truist Field. Everybody, I mean, everybody at that park was amazing just from, everybody working it. I mean, the head of the ACC does a phenomenal job throughout the week. He was so nice to me, and I had a chance to kind of touch base with him. He's been a general manager for some summer league teams before his job at the ACC. So he's been around the sport for a long time, and he's still pretty young, but he's amazing at what he does. And so I'm just grateful to even get to go and so many scouts there. But I mean, it was a really, really good weekend and week of baseball. I mean, just back to back games one after another. The pool play that they have is something I was, quite it was a little bit new to me. I wasn't quite sure, at first how I was gonna like it because I was so used to SEC style. But the pool play was amazing. And so just to learn from, those guys and getting to see, that style of baseball, it was amazing.
yeah, absolutely. So, I remember going all the way back when we talked about what you saw down in Texas and getting to see the tournament. And so I want to kind of do the same kind of thing with what you got to see there. Like in real time, we talked about how Oklahoma impressed you. Like, so when you're there, who's a team that maybe wasn't on your radar that is now?
I mean, all those guys have been on my radar. Every team that was there, they've all been on my radar just because of I knew, who we have on our rosters for this summer. And so, I mean, we have over, I want to say it's 95 players total that were at that from that conference that were at that tournament that we can see, some were at the tournament, some were there but not playing. But there was, I mean, FSU is one of those teams that I was kind of sleeping on, and then getting to see them live and in person was, I mean, and North Carolina. That's, I mean, another one who throughout the year, they have a lot of hype, and I didn't really want to jump on it too much because I was like, you never know. You still got conference play, you still got a lot of things, and then just watching them time and time again and seeing how hot their bats really are. I mean, I remember it being a 3 run or no, so yeah, 3 hits back to back, walking off batters, home runs in the first inning. Like the first inning, you see 3 home runs
Right.
to back to back.
You know what we need, Ellie?
Like, what is going on here?
Connecting the two things we're talking about, like when are we going to get the start of the season? When we're going to get an ACC SEC showdown? Like we get it in the Big 12 and the SEC all the time, but when you
Right.
look at how many good ACC and SEC teams are, like if you were to put, you know, I don't know. Like I don't even want 6. Like I want like 8. I'm trying to go bigger. Like
Well, we do get to see a little bit of it, but it is later on in the year. And I honestly feel like that's kind of better. I mean, we get to see it at Supers possibly this year with just if we're going to talk about Tennessee and potentially Wake Forest having Chase Burns come back, the revenge of Chase Burns, which I cannot wait to see if it does happen. But he really is a great player. I think that whole Wake team, they have some good guys out in the field for them. Marik Houston at shortstop had some incredible plays, really good at bats. He's going to the Cape this summer, so can't wait to see what he does up there. But the only reason, North Carolina, if we're going for another ACC team, I feel like the only reason they really even lost was because those 6 innings were pitched by Chase Burns. And that just goes back to the style that the ACC
Mm.
has and what they could bring to an SEC matchup. It would be, I mean, bring your popcorn, that's for sure. Bring your popcorn, go ahead and have all the candy ready, drinks, everything, because that is something we don't get to see till later on, which in my opinion is better. I mean, even possibly, I'm still thinking you never even know. The regionals are, the best of the best. You got to play hard every single day. Tony V mentioned that in his press conference yesterday. It's a new day every day. So, it's something that you never know what could happen, but if we do get the chance to see it, I mean, whew, that would
Yep,
be
we
that
gotta
would
get
be incredible.
gotta
Oh,
get there
okay. I've
first
got
for
the
sure.
stat line. Sorry, I did master the fold this year. That was one of my goals, was to master the fold. And I know some scouts, if any of them are watching it, they could be very proud of the
There you
Oregon
go.
me. I've got the whole pool play all right here on this one sheet. I've got stuff written, but I'm gonna not give away all my secrets yet. But I actually have Burns's. They taught me how to do it when I was there because I was carrying like 3 papers around of each because there were 3 pools. There's 4 pools. There was A, B, C, and D, and I was carrying around each individual sheet. And they were like, "Let us show you what we've been doing and what the rest of the scouting world has been doing." So I actually have Chase's stat line from the 6th inning or his 6th outing. Gosh, 6 innings for his outings, but it was in 6 innings pitched for Chase Burns, he had 15 strikeouts, 72 thrown strikes, and his first pitch of the game was a 99 mile per hour fastball.
Solid, I'd say. Uh,
That is that right there is what shut down North Carolina. But yeah,
And I mean,
that's
I got to see it 2 weeks prior. I went and watched him pitch in Winston-Salem against Clemson when they were ranked number 2, and he had 16 Ks and absolutely just shut them down. And so that is what he does. But now that Daniel's here, Ellie, I wanted to bring up something because you talk about the Cape, and as you were talking about guys you're going to see, and I started thinking about North Carolina, which led to the LSU matchup. I got to see an interesting name. My favorite guy at LSU is Griffin Herring. I saw him on the Chatham A's roster, and the reason that's significant is I know you said the movie is nothing like the actual Cape, but that is the movie that me and Daniel watched, and Chatham Anglers are the team that's built around. So I see that my guys going there. That talk about a reason for me and Daniel. You're already inviting us, telling us how awesome the Cape is. Gotta go, gotta go. And then I see my dude's going to be playing for the team that we came up on with the movie. So how exciting is it to, as these names keep popping in, that's
yeah.
just one of like the 50 that I've seen come across there. Just, I mean, then when you look at this list of names, you talked about it, but as I'm seeing more and more, it just seems like stars everywhere.
Right, yeah. So I really want to remake that movie too. I've already talked to our league president. That was like one of the things when I first like met him, I was like, okay, I this might sound a little like too forward, but can we please remake that movie? Because it's just everyone's told me I had to watch it and I just don't understand like the connection. So we can do like a summer catch too, maybe, and we'll make an NIL deal. Who knows?
Daniel,
Look, Ellie, it's very simple. You got a Freddie Prince Jr. and you got a Jessica Biel.
Okay, right.
That's all you need.
I can see that, but we could definitely find that with, I don't know,
What's the modern day?
that's what I was
Livy
actually
Dunn,
going to ask
Livy
you.
Dunn and Paul Skeens.
I love it.
Paul,
Everybody would
Paul.
watch.
I mean,
I mean,
really, he is a Cape guy. But no, get me a movie producer and let's get this going for sure. I think
I
if
wish
we
you
keep
wouldn't
the
have
ball,
said that now. I want that. Like, I need Paul and Libby. Like, and that's not going to happen.
it won't,
My
but
dreams are out the window.
right, right. No, I going back to the Cape League, just I mentioned being at the ACC tournament for them, but I mean, the thing I really like about so far what the Cape has done and just kind of, the history that it has, everyone is just honest and real, and they're there to help you this summer, whether it's, the interns trying to get their career path going and, really trying to learn from some of the best in the business, or it's the players who are out there, working with former guys who know what they're going through, have been either to the Cape or, have been professional in the sport and in the industry. So, I mean, not just the interns, but with like student athletes, they're entrusted with a lot over the summer. So everyone wants to go, but only the best can go. And I think that's something that keeps it so competitive. And just to be treated as a professional, being a college kid is huge. I mean, yes, we are still college kids, and there's some leadership there that still needs to be brought in, whether it's an intern or it's a player, trying to perfect their craft. But just to kind of get to go up there and just be a part of something that's so much bigger, and that they're already treating you like they would in the industry, and are treating you like the professional you're working to get towards. But yeah, I mean, it's been around for 101 years now, so the connections and just the development of the entire league is huge, and it's just such a great path. And they say it's the MLB pipeline, but I mean, for somebody like me, it's just somewhere where I can go and I can learn from and be a part of some of the best coaches, the best players, the best, industry professionals, best scouts, some of the best in the league. So I'm super excited for it. And getting to go be a media talent is just, I've already got to interview some of the alumni and some of the guys that have been a part of it. So it's it's been amazing
I
so
mean,
far.
think
And I'm
about it, Daniel.
top 1%.
She's gotten to be around Tennessee athletics, not even just baseball, but Tennessee athletics. She's gonna get to do Omaha and she's gonna get to do the Cape. Like bucket list items across the board.
You know what's
I'm not even
crazy,
20 yet.
Ellie,
I'm
is
not even 20. I'm still in
you
the teens. I'm still in the teens.
you got to slow down because you don't want the best to be now. Like
But
you
the
might look
greatest
back
thing
on it
about college
and go,
athletics,
yeah,
right, the greatest thing about college athletics, so and especially in this day and age, is the best is coming out every single year. Every year it's getting better, and every year the sport is changing for the better. So I'm going to get, I mean, I got a little bit when I first got started. I got a little bit of in 2022. I kind of got that baby group that was coming in. It was that like right after, if we're talking baseball, we got Christian Moore, we've got KT, Blake, they were all there then. So I didn't have the best that is now was not there before. They were still learning, they were growing, they had just gotten there, they're waiting their turn. But I also had the best, if you think back, I had the Drew Gilberts, the Trey Lipscomb, and they're all Cape guys too. But I mean, I do have to slow down and take it in every now and then, but as long as I can go and as long as God will allow me to, I'm just going to keep going for the best of the game, and whatever happens, happens, and just live my life on the outside. And
when you think
I think
about,
it'll always grow. The game's always growing. So
yeah,
there could always be something better every day.
yeah, when you think about baseball, it's a very purist sport. It's very like the rules haven't changed. I mean, obviously in college baseball, there's
Some
pitch
pitch
clock
clock,
and
some different
there's little things that have,
second base that some people think you still can call it out. It's a mess, right?
but the actual like players themselves and what they can do and the athleticism and just stat lines and the abilities over the past 20 seasons, I don't think there's a sport that has evolved faster than baseball when it
Right.
comes to
What
the
makes it so
athletes and
pure.
what they can do.
Yeah, I mean, it's what makes it so pure too, is that I mean, these guys are still going and they're still playing 9 innings. They're still showing up. There's still 3 strikes. That's an out. I mean, there's still 3 outs. The game itself will never change. Just who comes in and changes it. That's what makes the greats, in my opinion. And those guys are the ones that are going to elevate the game level, like Simo. I mean, who would have thought? I mean, I knew Simo before back in Hoover when he was a perfect game. And, he was at the showcase then. He was still in high school. And so I was at that showcase actually getting to shadow Danny Wexelman, who I ran into this weekend. She was calling, did an amazing job doing some of the calling for the games at the ACC tournament. But I ran into her. I was shadowing her back then. I had no clue who Christian Moore was. He was just some high school kid. I was actually in middle school. So, I had just seen his name and I was like, wow, that's cool. Actually, saw his film from that weekend too. And me and him were laughing about it together. We were looking at it because all these years later, here we are now. I'm at Tennessee producing his podcast and he's killing it out there, on the field and, just I knew how good he was back then, but to see how much he's evolved and grown and how much skill he had back then, but has been able to, hone in and really learn at Tennessee is what
I mean,
is
he's
what he's
not.
making the game better, in my opinion. Those type
Yeah,
of guys are really, really strong, and that's what grows the game.
outside of the Tennessee, family, you
Right.
look at a guy like Christian Moore and you're like, okay, you can see him being a good player, but you don't expect him, of all the people that you've seen come through Tennessee over the past, I would say 5 or 6 seasons,
Drew
you don't
Gilbert.
expect him to have the season he has. You expect
Right.
one of these other guys. And I think that's what's crazy about Simo, is that he has this uncanny ability to elevate himself above all the other guys.
Mhm.
And people may not have expected that. I mean, we've talked to him and he may not have even expected that himself, but here he is, one of the greatest players in college baseball this year.
I
And
mean, she
like,
nailed a lot of these guys, Dan. When me and her had original talk, especially
I was
guys
gonna
like
say, yeah.
KT. Yeah, I mean,
I was
like
gonna say, Jim, don't beat me to it.
yeah, no. She nailed a lot of them, but obviously SEMO's a little more easy to predict. But yeah, when you look at what KT's doing specifically, he's the first one I think of. And she threw a bunch of names, and we're talking about pitchers. Like, it shows what being
Ozzy,
around those dudes
Marcus
regularly,
Phillips.
Daniel, how meaningful it is because she's around them all fall, getting to watch them, see them. She's making these, predictions, and as I'm watching them, every guy that she felt like was going to be a dude is.
Yeah, I was like, please, Jim. I was like, do not cut me off. I was like, let me get my KT in there. Because that is one of those guys who, I mean, and Marcus Phillips, if we're going to talk about pitchers, AJ Causey with his sidearm throw. I mean, Chris Stamos, those are the guys that got it done there in the end for the champion.
Daniel loves some AJ. He was the one that
Hey,
demanded he come on the show.
so he was
yeah,
a Cape guy.
that's
He was a Cape
uh,
guy, and he actually learned his grip that he has for his sidearm slider is actually from the Cape. So he talked about it a little bit on our podcast that we did with him. And there's a clip somewhere on the internet. I mean, it's on the Players Lounge. You'll have to go and find it. It's a little self promo right there, but sorry guys. But we talked about, his pitching ability and how much it's grown since being at Tennessee and what, he's been able to do for some of the guys out on the mound and just for the team in general. So it's so fun to get to cover them, but and see them all really grow throughout the season. I honestly feel like KT, though, he's one of those guys that I always knew once he got the chance to get out there and get in the right hole in the lineup, what he did. I mean, in the off season, really prepared him for now. And, he's one quieter guy. You really don't hear much from him until you hear his walk up song and then he's coming. But I'm gonna I'm gonna predict that, a little bit here. I never like to do this, but because you never really know what's going to happen each day. We're at God's ability, but Indiana is good, and so is Southern Miss. And those two, if anybody's going to give a run for Tennessee's money for those guys, it's going to be those two teams. And it's going to be interesting to see how we can line up against them, with bats. And then as well on the mound, we still got to play Northern Kentucky, which any team that can go in and beat Wright State the way that they did to make it into this regional is a team to be reckoned with. And it's somebody, they're hot and they're on a streak and they're not going to let it die out soon. So they had a lot to prove. I think it was over 12 years. I think they beat Wright State for the first time in 12 years to make it into a regional. You'd have to go back. It's either 9 or 12. But
Daniel's
that's a
impressed right
team to
now.
be
I can feel it.
reckoned.
I will say this. Uh, I mean, I agree to some extent, but I think Tennessee's hardest game is going to be the very first game. And I don't think the entire game is going to be hard. I think the first 4 innings of the game are going to be hard.
It's a new
Once Yeah, I think once they get through the lineup one time, they're gonna go, all right, we figure this out. Let's buckle down here, and it's not gonna be a game. But
Yeah,
um,
that's very
yeah, I
true.
mean, I think everybody wants Tennessee Southern Miss, or at least I do.
Well,
Yeah, we've got
Daniel,
three.
I'll tell you this: we sit here and talk about SEMO, and you're talking about so start based upon look the what 7 games I've seen of Tennessee in person over the last 2 weeks, dude. I think Christian Moore might walk up and hit a bomb to start the game. I'm not even kidding.
Right. I
How
mean, no,
good's done.
Southern Miss has got some pretty good pitchers though. Cross Sively. I am going to butcher these names because they're confusing. So I apologize if y'all ever hear these. Sorry guys. I
That's all
just
right. You're
don't
gonna
know
have
how
your
to.
little folded sheet this
Okay.
this week. You'll have all the names right
Let me
there.
tell you why I don't
Nobody
believe in Southern
knows.
Miss. Before you say
Nobody
any
knows.
names, Ellie, Daniel, let me tell you why I don't believe in Southern Miss. Don't forget their coach was on after they got beat by Mississippi State, complaining about them celebrating afterward, and that's the reason why they're not beating anybody. Okay.
That's
Well, I'm telling you, they got three guys, three pitchers, that are very talented and that are going to come out. They're going to come out with some heat, and they've got some interesting styles. But Davis Gillespie is one of them. The Southern Miss and the Indiana game, Southern Miss Indiana is going to be, it's going to be crazy. I mean, not only do we have three for Southern Miss coming to the Cape, 9 guys at Indiana's team, that potentially could be up there. But what I'm most excited to see from Indiana is Devin Taylor. He is that guy on the mound. Now, we see a lot of great pitchers in college athletics and in this era, but we may not even, see him. But he's a great pitcher, and I would love to see what he does. Say Indiana gets the job done, and they end up, advancing further into the regional, and we do get to see him. I would be really impressed and happy with that.
will be it'll be a tough road for all three of those teams because and I that's not taking anything away from any Indiana, Southern Miss, or Northern Kentucky. It's just Tennessee is that good. Like
Yeah, I mean, they played Indiana, Tennessee had a matchup back at Globe Life. No, it was Indiana. It was Oklahoma. It was Nebraska. See, Indiana and Nebraska, after seeing both of their uniforms, like it really does get confusing. So sorry about y'all. Y'all gonna have to cut that little part right there.
it's fine. It's that Big Ten
Yeah.
baseball. No, I don't really follow. I mean, Michigan has done something every now and then.
I mean, Nebraska won the conference, so that's
Yeah,
why.
that's
And back in the beginning, that's who Tony V had talked about, those teams that we faced at Globe Life will be in the regionals. Those are, you can bet your money that they're going to be there. And he was spot on with it. So, but yeah, it's definitely Nebraska, not
My
Indiana.
interest was Penn State, and they come up just short because me and Daniel actually know Adam Cesare real well, multiple time guest of the show that came from Wake Forest. So they needed to win
They
to
were
get in, and they
close.
were there.
I mean,
yeah.
if we're talking about coming up short, we've got to mention College of Charleston.
Mm.
That was one of them. I mean, I feel like it got me a little bit. It got me a little teary eyed because I was like, I don't pull for College of Charleston ever, but I watched the coach and I was like, oh, my heart, my heart goes out to this guy right here.
It's crazy, when you think back on it, because if you go through College of Charleston's schedule, you can find the one or two games that would have made the difference, and they're
Right.
probably games that they, had bad outings. They, played bad defensively. They didn't hit the ball well, or they didn't, have timely hits, or they left too many guys on. Like something that they could control that probably prevented them. And that's usually how it happens. And that's even more bitter to swallow at the end of the season when you come up short. Um,
Yeah. So are we going to talk about what happened with South Carolina? Because I mean, they are in probably the toughest regional right now.
I wouldn't say it's the toughest, but
It is one of the toughest, in my opinion. Who do you think is going to come out? I want to hear this, Jim. Who do you think is the toughest regional right now?
we both agreed. We both think that out in Tucson and Arizona is the toughest regional altogether. But as far as South Carolina is me and Daniel are believers in South Carolina, and after they got hot in Hoover, I'm definitely a believer. I know they kind of lulled for a minute against Georgia, and then Tennessee put the whooping on them, but I don't know, man. I just got to talk to Messina and Veach and Petrie and those guys, and they're all dogs. Like I
Right.
think they're gonna. Me and Daniel think they're gonna win that region.
Yeah, I really liked. I mean, Messina had a great game against LSU. Braswell's kind of
He
one of
was the
those.
best player in Hoover.
I mean, shoot, he had himself a week, like an incredible week. But, our writers for the Cape League, little shout out to them. They actually ended up picking the Tucson Regional to be the toughest, one of the toughest coming out with Arizona, DBU, Grand Canyon, West Virginia. But we've got 5 on Arizona's team that will be on our roster this summer. 4 at Grand Canyon, and then 3 at West Virginia, and 2 at DBU. So, I mean, I'm sorry, actually 9 at West Virginia. I was looking at their rankings.
So,
9
so
at West
Daniel
Virginia,
Daniel is a
3 at
DBU
DBU.
guy. He's got DBU making a push
Yeah.
through that region.
Yeah, well, we've got
Yeah,
them coming to the Cape, so that also gives Daniel something. If I didn't sell you on the Cape already, based off the roster, now Daniel's got 3 DBU guys he can watch.
there we go. I'm sold. I got my guys, my kind of people gonna be there.
But Daniel, you're not where I mean, we talked about this a little bit on the well, I say that the episode got lost, right? So no one has heard us talk about it. We're both believers in South Carolina, right? I'm not wrong on this.
No, it's
I'm a believer in them too. I'll put a hand up for that too. I really like Petrie and I really like Messina and all those guys. I've been
Is there
around.
a report on Casas?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I could definitely find out, but I don't really, I'll let the coaches and the trainers do their job there. And if we get the chance to see him, he's a great guy. So it'll be a treat. But
Daniel,
I
are
think
you still a
guys,
believer if he's missing out of the 9 hole?
yeah. I mean, because here's the thing: if you're gonna win, you
Oh, never
can't
mind. I
you
got it. He's going to miss the postseason, so he is out.
so if you're gonna win, if you're gonna win the regional, if you're gonna move forward, if you're gonna advance, like it can't be one guy. So
right.
it's got to be. Let's plug the hole in the lineup. And like I love Gavin, and he's a great hitter, but he can also have his stretches where he's not very hot.
And that's why
And
you've got
so,
Pet up there kind of higher
You
to help.
probably get better defensively too, without even knowing who his replacement is. I'm just going to make an assumption, Daniel, because we know he's not an elite defender.
well, I mean, I think Petrie moves down and he has to play first, and then you get better defensively in the outfield. I think you may not be better defensively at first, but I mean, you could probably. I think you get better defensively. I don't think you get better offensively, but I don't know.
I
I
mean, it's
don't
always
know.
good when you've got players who've got hot bats and then also can kind of go around in the field. It's never a bad problem to have. So it's
Yeah.
for strategically thinking for these
Oh,
coaches. I mean, Kingston does a great job at, he could be maybe coaching one of his last games with South Carolina. You never know. I mean, that might be a rally around
ooh,
that. I don't know. Maybe a
that's a hot
prediction.
take. That's a hot take.
Predictions? I don't know. We do not know. I really like what Kingston's done. I think he's a great fit for South Carolina. But if things change, they change. And I mean, my dad's a coach, so every year's not guaranteed unless you've got contracts and such. I guess at college levels you do, but
All I know is Cole Messina is white hot right now, and if he continues that, it'll make things a lot easier for them. And
right,
if Petrie can start swinging the bat and he's hitting, you know, 2 or 3 home runs this weekend, like watch out.
right.
If you get Veach on the mound, they're probably going to be in good shape. So that would be my plan: is score enough to get Veach on the mound and put guys away.
Right. Yeah, because one player doesn't make the whole team. And I mean, that goes back to just the Wake Forest thing, gearing it towards the ACC. Like Burns really did carry that whole team on his back. Marique had actually, for 6 innings, he carried the field onto his back. And I mean, it went to midnight, that game did. So it wasn't like, they ran out of some pitching there late in the late in the innings, but it was a really good outing for him. And I think Murray Houston, he was able to get the job done with the homer there early, so he kind of set him out, but a little bit ahead. And then, of course, I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. I ended up staying and I was like, I was walking out at midnight and I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make it tomorrow because my eyes were like starting to close down. And I was walking to the car. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna have to just sleep here if I'm gonna make it back in the morning. And then they ended up winning. And I was like, you know what? As I was walking to the car, I was like, you know what? I'm kind of glad I stayed. I'm glad, I might not make it back to my room in time and I might just have to sleep here in the parking lot, but I stayed at Lake Norman with one of my friends, so I was like 30 minutes down the road, and I was like, yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to like wake up in the morning and come cover the semis, but at least they won.
So Daniel, before we do our regional picks, which Ellie's not going to make actual picks, she's going to discuss the games with us. But I have a question for you. Let's assume everything goes the way it's supposed to while we're talking about this weight thing. Give me the starting ticket price, Daniel, for the game between Burns and Beam on the bump.
Would it even be Beam though?
It would be. I'm putting everything on that. There's no way it's not.
I mean, no comment. I don't know what Frank would do. That's a Frank choice, but no comment on that. It
It
would be crazy expensive for sure.
Yeah, I would say $100 probably starting
Oh, good. It's
starting right.
200 to get there now.
I mean,
What for a regular ticket up in like nosebleeds, not even the nosebleeds, it's like $300, give or take for a
Yeah,
regionals.
luckily, shout out to Xander Secret's
that's pretty
for taking
bad.
care of me.
That's pretty bad. I mean,
For two, let's say let's say you're bringing two people with you. You've got a group of three. You're gonna look at about 300 something. I wouldn't even be at a game, so because to be honest, I'm trying to stay off of baseball in college as much as I can until I get to the Cape so I'm fresh and I'm ready for it. Of course, I can't help myself watching it, but last summer I did that. I was back to back SEC tournament straight into the Coastal Plain League for, 4 games a week and it was baseball nonstop and I don't think I knew anything else by the end of the summer. So
I
I'm trying to
mean,
stay
you need to
away from
be at home watching ESPN Squeeze Play with the 4 screens because you know dudes everywhere, and that's what you need to be locked in on.
that's
Well,
that
I've got the
if
stat lines
you
going from each thing, so I'm trying to like not look at it. I'm
that's
probably
what
going
I picture going on in your head, Ellie, is it's squeeze play in your head, like as you're watching baseball.
right. No, I love watching. I mean, I don't want to see it because I will be seeing it all summer, but I can't help myself, seeing the stat lines and looking at. I'm gonna go to Athens actually and see some friends, so maybe get to catch some of the regional over there.
That's actually where I was gonna go, but then these folks in Knoxville just really talked me into it. But Daniel, let's do these games again. Let's repick them. You have a chance to redo in case you've rethought anything out.
You know me, I'm one pick Dan. I don't make changes.
There you go.
I stay true. Stay true. Starting in Knoxville.
We don't even gotta do it. With this
I
Tennessee.
mean, Tennessee all the way. I mean, we've talked about it for a hot minute or 15, but yeah, it's gonna be the volunteer show. They're just playing really well, and like I said, 50 wins in a season is remarkable.
I thought Cal
Unbelievable.
Stark said it best earlier. I hate that you didn't get to be there, but he said what he said to us last night. He said it again today, Daniel. The only team that can beat Tennessee is themselves.
I mean,
That is true.
I agree with that, but there is an 11 in the loss column, so there's part of me that doesn't agree with that too.
But the way they're playing right now, if they just play their brand of baseball, no one's going to beat them.
No, not this group. I mean, obviously, as you move further out of regionals, it the talent level, or not the talent level, everybody's good, but the intensity and the pressure, and there's a lot of other factors that go into play, and like you can't have bad days, and um, but I just don't see it. I don't see any of these teams providing the pressure and intensity needed to topple Tennessee or even to shake them to get them off what they do best.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
you're right.
Green, yeah, Greenville. There's some discrepancy about how healthy is ECU. Um, they're the host team. They've won 43 games. They're top team in the nation. They've been that way for the majority of the season, and here we are. They're hosting a regional back in an environment where they're familiar. They got Evansville. They got VCU taking on Wake Forest. Obviously, everyone is wanting that Wake Forest Tennessee super matchup. But I'll be honest, Jim, we talked about this earlier. Is you can't overlook what's in front of you, and if you start doing that, I don't think the Wake Forest team is they're not no team is good enough to overlook the person in front of you, but they'll make things a lot tougher for themselves if they start looking past where they're at currently and start thinking
I mean,
about
I
what
don't think
could
they're
be.
going to look past it. When you look, I mean, Michael Massey back healthy, when you got Hartle starting to find himself, and then you got Roland on the back end. I really like what Wake has pitching wise, to go against ECU. ECU does have some bats. Obviously just interviewed those guys. They're feeling very confident. They're not scared even a little bit about Wake Forest, not that they should be, but at the end of the day, I just like Wake's pitching better, and I like ECU's, hitting lineup.
Man, you just lost a lot of followers, bro.
Well,
I
Jim,
know there's like 500 ECU fans right now.
right. I
Man.
mean, ECU is a great team and they've been able to prove themselves throughout the season, but there is one guy on Wake's team, other than Chase Burns at the pitching position, that's Hayden LaFeu. LaFeu, Hayden, if you're hearing this, I'm sorry. I will learn how to pronounce your name, promise. But he's a left-handed pitcher, and I think that's one of the guys that we haven't seen much of this season. But if you get the chance, he's going to be one of them coming out next year, taking in some reps, and he's an impressive guy at lefty.
I believe it. The lab is a real thing for those who think it's a joke. But Daniel, I think Michael, because I'm not just studied on Bird. I think Michael Massey, now he's back healthy. I think it's something that people are forgetting about and how dominant he was in the postseason last year. That dude can absolutely sling it.
Right.
Do you do you think people are downplaying East Carolina a little bit?
I feel like they always do.
Me
And
too.
that's
And
what makes
I
them
feel like
so
this
great.
is yeah, this is the time where people start downplaying those guys. And I think it's just because they haven't made it to the big one and they haven't like
They've got so much
solidified
different.
themselves.
Well, I think
Yeah.
it's
So,
probably I think their conference has a lot to do with it. Like, I mean, because
but
Memphis is the American. Like, they don't play anybody.
I get it. But at some point, year after year after year, like that shit has to not matter anymore to people who know baseball. And I know people
Right.
who know baseball that put out there Wake Forest. I've even seen some jabronis out there putting VCU over Wake Forest and um, East Carolina. So I just think East Carolina, you don't want to sleep on them. I say that, and then I'm going to turn around and tell you I'm going to pick Wake Forest to win it. But I, if East Carolina won it, it wouldn't shock me.
I need to know before I would pick them. It really goes to that game too. I need to know that Trey is 100% going into that game to feel like
Yeah,
I could pick him to outduel Burns.
and I mean, all we can think is if he's out there on the mound, then he is. Because why would you risk putting him out there if he's not
Right.
100?
Sorry, y'all
Um,
started to hear me get quiet here in the end. I've got game 5 on.
it's all good.
Exit here. I'm sorry, so I might not be. You see me just start looking over a little bit.
It's all good. So we both got Wake, Norman Regional, Oklahoma, Oral Roberts, Yukon, Duke. This is where we stray off the path, or at least when we originally talked, we strayed off the path. I'm staying true to the Blue Devils. Give me the Dukies. I don't know, Jim. Are you still riding with Oral Roberts?
Yeah, I am. Team of Destiny last year. Kyle Booker's on that team. They're getting hot at the right time. Let's go. I gotta have an upset in here somewhere. This is it.
I love Booker. I love what he's been able to do over there too. I feel like he's really grown as a player and an individual, but he's a great guy. I don't know if I have to agree with you about them winning the regional, but
I will say, look, Ellie, when you were talking about toughest regions, me and Daniel talk about this is one because me and you've talked, Ellie, plenty about Oklahoma in general, but obviously everybody knows how good Duke is, and then UConn and Oral Roberts are two teams that carrying over from last year, just really good teams. I think this is one where top to bottom, you feel like any of these teams could legitimately win it.
yeah, no. I mean, if they
The
were in
the
another regional, it'd be, I mean, there are some writers right now that like our Cape writers too, that said that was one of the four regionals, four of the best regionals were. And and I saw Oklahoma back in Globe Life, and that was an incredible outing for them. And they had some young guys. They had Jackson Wiltz hit that walk-off homer to win it, or it was a walk-off grand slam.
Yeah, that's
And
one of your 11 losses there, Daniel.
yeah,
Oklahoma.
hey, and he's a Cape guy, so just get y'all excited a little bit more. If you haven't seen the connection that's starting to
You thought I was
come
loyal to in
together.
off the bench guests until you met Ellie with her cape, guys.
I'm telling you, I'm always loyal to them because they're what helped me grow. So, as I've spent, all of spring literally preparing for this summer with some of the best of the college baseball right now, it takes a lot of preparation. So, getting to see them back at the first start and learn, who these guys are, where they're playing, and, who they are as people and how we can help them grow better in their sport when they get to the Cape, that's something I'm always looking at. So when I talk about them, it's partly towards that, trying to figure out, what they could do at the Cape and how they can get better as I'm getting better. But you slowly start to see my connection coming along with the best of the best. And now they're all in the regionals and potentially to Omaha.
it's all clear to me now. I can see it. Like it all it's like,
Yeah.
when you connect all the dots and now you see the
Right.
picture as a
Just give me
whole.
the movie and I'll make it happen. And
Us
Summer Catch 2.
I
Oh,
need Paul and Libby now. I mean,
I
golly.
mean, we could maybe make this happen because he is a former Cape guy and he did go pro.
There you
So
go. There
we
you
could
go.
get her in the movie.
I mean,
It,
hey, Paul, you get to throw a no-no at the end of the game and get the girl, bro. Let's do
I
this.
mean, that's literally your life. That's literally your life right now. It's the most realistic.
true.
He can play the character well. No, I just want credit for when this does happen, Summer Catch 2. I just want my name put onto the credits. That's all I'm asking for. And movie rights. If we're
Right
thinking
there.
financially here, movie rights and credits.
Daniel, I want to be an extra as a fan in the crowd. That's just all I need.
They need the mascot. Who wants to play the mascot? What
Oh,
was it? Like a shrimp? She like
it
changed
was
it.
the girl. She changed it every day, but
There
it
you go,
was when she
Daniel. We'll
became the
make that
drunk.
year.
She became the drunk fisherman, is what they ended up liking. I can do that. Let's go.
Yeah, who can do it? We'll do a lobster. She was a lobster at one point in the movie. Daniel, would you like that character? Would you like that role in the movie?
If they're paying, I'll do just about anything. But like you, I want my name in the credits. I,
Yeah, I
I
want
want
the
to
movie
make sure I
credit.
get that long-term money. All
Um,
right, Jim. Tallahassee, Florida State, looking good all season. I think, slept on them for a little bit. But this is the time where Florida State starts doing Florida State things. Um, they got Stetson, they got UCF and Alabama on the lower half of that bracket. I think both of us, I mean, without getting into detail, I think we're both rolling with Florida State here.
Yeah, one before you came on, Ellie did talk about how good Florida State looked at the ACC tournament, but
that's right.
it's really a lot about. We've talked about Alabama a lot this year. I've gotten to see Alabama a lot in person. They're not the team I think is going to upset them.
No.
No, I don't think so either. They don't have
It's got
the
some good pitching, but other than that, I don't see it.
Yeah, they don't have that hot burning story like they had last year, propelling them through postseason. Um,
It was
I'm
Huskin.
telling you that shit was wild, just wild.
But
But
And the new coach's defense, I think he's done a great job at coming in and, really building a program up and helping those guys out. I think that's been something, it's a hard job. Any coach coming into it already knows what's happened, especially in this day and age with the media. And so to be able to get some guys behind them and rally a team together is not easy for sure. So
To be
I
able to
got to give credit to him.
Yeah, to be able to turn around and do it again this year after what happened last year and go through the gauntlet of SEC play and solidify a number 2 spot in a regional, like that's a win in and of itself. Obviously, they want more than that, but to be able to do that when all the chips were stacked against you, like that's pretty impressive in my book. And that's all on the coach and the culture and the guys that he has put in place to allow that to happen. So, who knows? This Alabama might be there, but I don't think so. I think Florida State's still smoking all of them. So, uh,
Florida State had a great week out there. They had one hitter though. I think it was Max Williams. He's a Cape Guy center fielder. He was explosive off the bat at every at bat, and so he's somebody I'm excited to see. I mean, every time he was up there, it was either he was a really big impact player for all the games that they played in, but I forget what hole he was sitting in for the tournament. Mainly he was up at the top, but can't remember the exact number on it. Anyways, he's a good leader on that FSU team, and I feel like he's gonna be able to get the team pretty far. One of
there
the
you
guys.
go. Cape guys leading the way,
Hey,
leading the way.
what can I
Uh,
say?
Jim, are we gonna talk about Fayetteville, or are we just gonna skip right on through that?
You're the one that's got the upset, but I will say this: I've never been one to really like try to break news, but I told you, and I've known for a while that Brady Tygart was dealing with injury, and now it's starting to leak out, and people know what I've known for weeks. Anyway, so that's a real big problem, and it looks really good when you're making an upset pick there, Daniel.
Yep, give me Louisiana Tech all day because we know it's inevitable, and I'm just gonna like rip the band-aid off for Arkansas fans just right out the gate. Look, we're not gonna get your hopes up all postseason and get you close, and then you just be disappointed. I'm just gonna end it for you now,
If they lose in the
I
first round, I'm throwing a watch party the second weekend at a bar there and gonna make everybody mad.
dude.
I mean, Arkansas fans we have a lot of guys, Cape guys on there, and Arkansas fans are the most impressive so far that I've seen, just supportive wise, supporting all their guys, and there's some tough people to compete up against if you're talking about the fans and the stands. But we have like eight or
I
nine.
love their players. I love their players' families. I don't think there's a greater set of families that I've gotten to know, but my experience in Fayetteville just was not good, Ellie. Their fans did not welcome in a guy just because I
Yeah,
was wearing LSU very well. So I'm good on going back to Fayetteville as an opposing fan.
they are rowdy for sure, but they for sure care. I mean, they can come to the Cape as long as they, watch their eight guys, as long as they stay friendly, of course. But watch now, the whole fan base is gonna hate me.
So we
Careful.
talk like that, but Jim, you got Arkansas, right?
Yeah.
You've got
Uh,
to.
you don't got to.
You don't got to, but
This is where I gain a point on you.
situations, anything can happen. I say that so much because it's real. In the game of baseball, it's a game of failure, as we all know. But you've also got to go 9 innings and your best 9 innings at least. And on a day that you never know what could happen, what that team is going through, what the players are going through. But Arkansas's players they're prepared, I feel like. And I think everybody coming off this break, they're going to be eager to get onto a field. They've had a little bit of time to recuperate.
Yeah, definitely. If they win it, I'm not gonna be shocked. They should win it. Um, but looking back over all the top seeds that the the percentage of top seeds that advance, I'm trying to think, well, not all of them are going to advance. Let's be
Here's
real.
what I hope, Daniel. Let's say you're right about the first one, and then this next one I'm right about. Then your scenario would fall. Duty Noble would be hosting a super regional, and that needs to happen.
I don't
17,000 people.
I don't disagree with that at all. Um,
Would it be? I'm trying to think. Would it beat Hoover's numbers? Do we think? Do we think it would beat Hoover's numbers for a
Uh,
Super?
yeah. I do. I do. Mississippi State, every chance they've had, even when I was there for the record against a last place battle with Ole Miss, if you give them a super regional that's that meaningful, especially with the potential matchups you could have in there, yeah, I do.
Mm.
how
I mean,
many
their fans
how many
always.
s- how many seats are in Hoover?
I
Do
don't
you
know.
know?
I mean, most of the time it's standing room only, anyways.
Yeah.
We're counting the outfield seats taken by the kids in the outfield.
I mean,
Well,
if you get
that's how so Hoover met. Yeah, it's 10-8 without the standing. So you throw it in there. I don't know what you're looking at, but yeah, they're gonna. Okay, so here it goes. It
Graphic
configuratively could
somewhere.
hold.
That's
It says 16. It can hold 16,000. It says with the
Okay.
standing. So yeah, you would need the dude completely packed to beat out Hoover when it's completely packed.
I mean, I'm sure I
yeah.
was gonna say if you can't find it, the SEC media team, they are on it with graphics
Oh
and
yeah.
all stats and everything. They do a great job. So I'm sure you could go to one of their grids on Instagram. They got it.
So when we talk Virginia, Virginia, Pennsylvania, St. John's, and Mississippi State, it sounds like, Jim, you got Mississippi State
Easily, easy.
easily. I agree with you. I don't agree with the fact that it's going to be easy because Virginia is a team full of dogs that know how to win. And what I love about Virginia is that they never make it easy for anybody to beat them. So, like, let's say Mississippi State makes it out of there, it's going to take every bit of whatever they can muster to win it, especially if they're going to have to beat Virginia twice.
Right.
So,
And for
um,
Virginia, Evan Blanco on the mat, on the mound. Look, y'all, it's getting too late for me.
let's
Uh,
go. He can be on the
Evan,
mat too.
Evan Blanco, yeah, on the mat, on the mound. It's a new thing in baseball if you haven't heard of it. It's actually like 30 seconds, 30 seconds new, but it's about 10 minutes past my bedtime right now. Um, anyways, Evan Blanco on the mound for Virginia, number 15. He's a great, great guy coming out. He's somebody that is going to get the job done if he gets the chance. And I got a chance to see him. I was really impressed with what I saw in the ACC tournament.
So that brings us to Tucson, Jim. Arizona, Grand Canyon, West Virginia, DBU. We've talked about it. Probably the toughest, in our opinion, it is the toughest. Could be the toughest of all the regionals. You know, I got DBU. We're all well aware of that. But who are you taking?
I'm gonna go DBU also. I just think they're a more complete team than Arizona. Arizona's a good story, but a weak Pac-12 they ran through. I don't think that their home field advantage is scary. And I don't even think Arizona's got an easy one as we talked about with GCU out the gate. So, it could get interesting starting tomorrow morning.
Yes, it could. North Carolina, Chapel Hill Regional. North Carolina taking on LIU.
I'm hedging
Wofford,
my bet,
LSU.
dude. I'm hedging it. I'm
Can't
taking North
believe you're
Carolina.
head. I can't believe you're doing this. I thought
Oh.
about this all today after you brainwashed me into believing like it was okay for you to pick North Carolina, and then I listened to all the garbage that you fed me, and I was like, you know what? This guy doesn't even believe in what he's telling me.
They've got the head
All
coach of
the
the year for the ACC with North Carolina. What
I
more
They
do
got
you
Vance
need?
but
Honeycutt.
his
They got
team,
Luke Stevenson at catcher, freshman that's making a huge impact for these guys.
I've
Cape guy.
been Ellie, I've been hearing for the past 3 weeks about how LSU is starting to figure it out. They're starting to do this. They're getting hot at the right time.
They always
Watch
do it
out
this
for
time. They
LSU.
always get right. They
But
always get
this is his team. Like, like to me, like they're playing at the level you want them to play to believe that they can win. And here he has his chance to believe that they can win. And he's like, no, no.
Gavin Gallagher at third
De-
base.
defending champs, nah, not gonna do it. I
Fuck
mean, it's
yes.
we talk about Wofford, and you know how I feel about teams like that, but I mean, it's
They're gonna
really a
get Gates
battle.
jump. I'm not worried about
It's
Wofford.
it no, but what I'm saying is it's really a battle between Carolina and LSU. You mean to tell me, with all things aside, like you don't believe in your boys?
Oh yeah, big money's gonna shove. I'm just hedging my bet and picking North Carolina. That way I'm either right or
Oh
LSU
man,
wins.
you're gonna be in trouble when DBU and LSU are facing off in a super regional, bro. Me and you are gonna fight.
You're not. Hey, where the question would be where I'd have to look where that would end up being. I think that would be at the box.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, baseball is a pure game. Three
And that's
strikes.
absolutely where I'll be for the Super Regional. Be clear. I've been telling
Oh, if
Tennessee
you
fans
weren't,
I'll be there. Um, I want to watch the Chase Burns thing, but I will definitely be going to the box.
here's what I think. I think if you don't pick your team right now, you shouldn't be allowed to go to the box if they win.
I mean, it
I
seems
think I should pick where you go.
Uh,
And I'm sending you to Fayetteville.
they're not even gonna be there. You, according to you,
According, you're right. You're right. Then
fine. Give me
drive down the
LSU.
road to the dude, bro.
Give me LSU then, if it makes you sleep.
No, it does. I'm gonna pillow my head just fine. I just
Look, speaking of, it's past Ellie's bedtime, and you're spending a lot of time arguing with me about this regional
I was
here.
about to say, all
it's
about broke out of yours.
it's for the
Not trying to be
content,
rude,
bro. For
but
the content.
Minnesota's losing.
If you're still watching that game, Ellie, something's wrong with you.
I mean, it's just sad. It's really
It's
sad.
very sad.
I'm
Like,
still waiting for Anthony Edwards just to come out and just make it happen. But I think it's because I wasn't there for tip off, and that's what happened. I was not engaged actively during tip off, and that is
Hmm.
why on my couch in my one seat in my pajamas locked into it, I really feel like Luca just went in for another. He's
yeah,
on fire. He's on fire. He's mad because he doesn't want to play again. He's an old man. He just wants to get on to the finals.
it was 18-18 at one point because Rudy Gobert got a foul and one, and then hit a free throw to tie it up. That's as close as it's been.
Look, Snoop is there. What a game.
Snoop is like, what is going on?
Sorry,
Like,
sorry, Jim. We are
yeah,
actively
we're
we're gonna close it
captivated
out.
by Luca. All right,
I can't.
other side of the bracket. We'll roll fast. Kentucky. I don't see Indiana State putting up much of a battle here.
Nope.
I do like Indiana State. I like the fact that they got a cemetery in their outfield. That's pretty neat. But they're not going to bring any spirits alive to help them beat the wrecking ball that is Kentucky right now. Oregon State, Corvallis Regional, Oregon State, Tulane, Nichols, and UC Irvine. I'm taking UC Irvine, Jim. You're taking the Beavs.
Yeah, yeah.
The Beavs all day. Um, South Carolina is we've talked about it. That's the team that we feel like is playing really good baseball right now. That's the team that is hot at the right time, and with a bunch of guys who have something to prove, and guys that have fought the gauntlet and been on the bad end of trying to battle back through adversity, injury, and trying to be healthy. And
Well,
here they
the
are.
beautiful part, Daniel, if we can get that right and Georgia takes care of business, we have a great scenario because not only do you have an SEC battle, but we like those South Carolina guys a lot, and obviously we love our dude Charlie. Been great to the show, and so the idea that one of those two teams and a group of guys that we like is going to be in Omaha.
Yeah, definitely. But we're both taking South Carolina, Athens regional. There's some people out there saying that Georgia's
Upset
on upset
alert.
alert. Like, I don't even think this is going to be close. I think Georgia runs away with this. I don't think any game is going to be a challenge for them. I think they win it outright with no issue at all. Jim, I think you feel the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Clemson Regional, Clemson, High Point, Coastal, and Vanderbilt. We talked about the Vanderbilt Coastal matchup being one that we're anticipating, being a good matchup. Um, Vanderbilt, always, proven, championship caliber team. They could easily get it done, but we both, I believe, are taking Clemson, correct?
No, I've had a change of heart.
Oh, buddy.
Give give me
If you say Vanderbilt, I'm
Vanderbilt.
the,
Give me the flying
I,
quarter.
I'm floored. No wonder why Jackson doesn't know who to root for. Because you don't pick your team here and then you pick one of the teams you don't like the most. Ugh, this
Ryan
is
Ginther changed me, bro.
I like Ryan Ginther, but bro, like they gotta get to him.
Bryce
Uh,
Cunningham's gonna do it.
we'll see. Stillwater. I think this is one of the toughest regionals. You got Oklahoma State, Niagara, Florida, Nebraska. You got a team that was in the national championship game last season. You got a Nebraska team that's, pretty good team. And then you got the Oklahoma State, team that,
I just know Lane Forsythe only plays for one of those teams.
well, I agree. Oklahoma State is who I'm picking. I know that's who you're picking. I'm just saying, like, it could be,
What if
it
I pick Florida
could
though?
get
Would you turn
dicey.
this show off?
Oh, I would, we would be done. Like, it would be
Done.
it. All the
Should have done
nonsense
it.
that you talk.
Should
Please
have
don't.
done it.
Please don't. Um, UC Santa Barbara, Fresno State, Oregon, San Diego. I don't think Fresno State's got that 90s magic or 2000s magic in them. You're going with the Ducks. You're staying true to the in off the bench effect. So you're going with the Ducks. I'm gonna take UC Santa Barbara. I think they're a really good team. It's a team that doesn't get a lot of pub, especially where we're at, just because they're on the West Coast and they're not in a predominant, conference. But 42-12, that's getting it done a little bit. So I'm taking those guys. You're taking Oregon, and then that leaves us with the final matchup: A&M, Grambling, Texas, Louisiana. We're both going A&M, correct?
Yeah. I think that Texas Louisiana matchup's really intriguing out the gate. I could go either way.
Yeah, I think so too. I think the name, the Texas name is going to get a lot of notoriety and a lot of clout and a lot of eyes. But I wouldn't be surprised if Louisiana just did big things.
Well, I think no matter what, who wins that, I think Texas A&M's lineup's going to do big things to whoever pitches.
Oh yeah, I mean we talked about it before. They're a team built for an Omaha run. They really are. Um, But just to recap, both of us taking Tennessee, both of us taking Wake Forest. I'm taking Duke. You're taking Oral Roberts. We're both taking Florida State. I'm taking Louisiana. You're taking Arkansas. We both got Mississippi State. We both got DBU. We both got North Carolina. We both got Kentucky. I'm taking UC Irvine. You're taking Oregon State. We both got the Gamecocks. We both got the Bulldogs. We did both have Clemson, but you wanted to change it and go with Vandy, but I'm still rolling with Clemson. We both got the Cowboys, and I'm taking Santa Barbara. You're taking Oregon, and we both got A&M just to round out our picks for regional play. It's starts tomorrow, man. It's here. Who would have thought? Like this season has moved so fast.
I have a 12-leg parlay in for tomorrow, $10, but it wins 3,200, Daniel. It's going to
I
hit.
I hope so.
Wait,
I
I'm
sh
sorry. Say that again. On what can we get promotions to the site? Not saying I myself would go do it, but for our fans out there.
I
who are the
mean, I don't
fans?
do it to the site. I live in North Mississippi. I went to the casino and did it boots on the ground and horseshoe.
Here's what's crazy, Ellie, and I'll tell you this. I live in Florida, and Florida has the most stringent rules about online gambling that anybody has ever heard of. But outside of gambling, there are no rules in Florida. So like it's
Florida man.
strange.
Florida
Right.
man. I mean,
It is,
he gambles.
yeah, it's absolutely crazy. But Hard Rock, which the Seminole tribe, big Florida tribe, owns all the gambling rights in casino. They finally got their stuff together. They approved uh gambling on sports. They have an app. So if you're going to bet in the state of Florida, you got to do it through the Hard Rock app unless you know other
Definitely,
people.
I'm not of age to do it yet. I would much rather have, some money. Don't have anything to bet right now. So
Hey, Daniel, do you remember last year?
I like my money. I have nothing that I can part with yet.
I hear
Enough.
you.
Daniel, do you remember
I
when
like my money in the
LSU?
bank and not in the odds of college students.
You remember
There
when
you go.
LSU cost me winning $980 last year because they had to just win by 2 on my 10-leg parlay and they only won by 1 on the Joe Bear bomb?
Yeah. And I'm thankful
That's
that
so weird, Mom.
LSU, yeah, I'm thankful that LSU beat Wake Forest too, because if they didn't, I would have been highly upset
I
with
was
you.
supposed to go put in $100 on a plus 4,000 Wake before the season, and I told him I did, and I didn't, and that's what he's talking about. So I had Wake won it all, and we didn't have $4,000 waiting on us. He wasn't gonna be happy.
Nope. And it was like, he was like, what, look at the odds for national championship. What sticks out to you? And I was like, immediately, Wake Forest plus 4,000, like, go. And he was like, all right, how much should I put? I was like, let's just do 100 and be good with that. And he was like, all right, bet, I'm doing it today. And then I text him later. I was like, did you put it? Oh yeah, we're good. We're good to go. It wasn't until the end of the season when we start doing this kind of talk about regional and super regional. I'm like, yeah, that bet's looking good now. And he was like, oh yeah, about that. And at that point, Wake Forest was the number one overall seed. And guess
I
what?
saved you
The
fifty
odds were
dollars.
not as good.
I saved you $50. That's what you're losing in this.
You, I mean, you could look at it that way. You're right. But had they won it all, it would have been. We
What
would
do
have.
they say about coaches when you make a gamble? If it pays off, you look great. If it doesn't, you look horrible. Well, it paid off. I look fantastic for my decision.
All
Well,
right. Well,
way to go.
I've got to go to sleep. Got a long weekend ahead of
Kids
me.
got to go to bed.
I'm
Well,
sorry, guys.
No, we're good. We're
Y'all are
wrapping up.
more than welcome to keep going, but
No, you got to let Daniel close this thing down
all right.
appropriately. Daniel, do
we
it.
gotta get up
Make
out of
sure it's
here.
saved. Let's make sure it's saved.
Yeah, for real, man. Like I
I'm
don't
just
think I
messing
could do
with
it
you.
one more
Look,
time.
I'm just messing with you.
capital PRO deucer. Stop it.
Not a triple A deucer, not a double A deucer, but a pro deucer. Get it, get it. All right, another great episode. We talked about how we had these conversations last night, but nobody knows that. They don't believe us because that evidence doesn't exist. That's why we had to do it again tonight. And it was fun. We got to talk to Ellie. Ellie, I appreciate you joining us. What a blast. You are a wealth of knowledge. And when it comes to the Cape,
Yeah, I
you
appreciate it.
are the expert. You're the
There's
person.
plenty more on our team that know a lot, but I'm just one of many.
Well, I don't
But
know them.
I enjoy talking to y'all and I enjoy, being able to share the game and the best of it. So thank y'all for having me on. I'm always happy to come on. Anytime y'all need anything, please let me know.
Absolutely. Jim, what do we got as far as Xander and Cal's stories, man?
So Cal's is out. His episode's out. Vander, we're making it up Monday. He wants to just go ahead and do it after the series.
All right, that makes sense. He's got a lot on his mind. I would hate for him to be sidetracked trying to talk to us jabronis and not really focus at the task at hand. But Cal stories out there. If you like hearing stories like Cal's, or you just like hearing us average Joes talk X's and O's, please like and share the podcast on Facebook, retweet us on X, listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And as always, go to YouTube, click subscribe, check out the reels, show us some love, comments, ratings, feedback, hearts, hugs, love, thumbs up. We'll take it all. We'll see everybody next week. We got big time postseason baseball coming on deck tomorrow. It's going to be a blast. Jim, anything you got before we get out of here?
Nope.
All right. We'll see y'all next week. This has been the End Off the Bench podcast. As always, remember, strong body, sharp minds, grit and grind all the time. We are out.